you're famous for a lot of things, but you're, I think, most famous for how you navigated our country and JPMorgan Chase through the Great Recession of 2008. What was your big takeaway from all that took to really get that done?
Well, first you got to go before the crisis started, and it goes back to my upbringing and with my dad. Is I had seen markets go up and down. I remember him coming home and people's incomes went down. I remember in 1974 and then 1982, New York City was desperate. So this great Wall Street, it was desperate. Restaurants were closing, stores were closing, apartments were being sold for back maintenance. Literally, people forget that 1982. And so even way back then, when I was with Sandy Weill at Travelers, Primerica, et cetera, I used to do presentations for all the stockbrokers about how we have to be able to deal with all these ups and downs. And part of the name of the game is just continue, serve your clients, do a great job in the downs, not just in the ups. And don't over celebrate the rising tide, but be prepared for the tide going out. When I got to JP Morgan, I was very tough here about capital, liquidity, profitability, because I knew that if the shit hit the fan early on, we would have had a real problem. So before that, and then get real risk management in place. So if you talk to the folks here, they were shocked at the detail. I'd go into every position, every risk, the what ifs, how bad can it get? And I made them do stress tests that they were like, that'll never happen. I said, I don't care what happens. And it's like kind of what happened, by the way. I said, I want to know if it happens that we survive to serve our client. Because you can't tell me it's not going to happen. So risk management is much more being prepared for a whole range of outcomes and what ifs. Then the shit hit the fan. But we were ready by then. We had more liquidity, more capital, more profitability. And you may remember the risk committee, the board. At one point, I left you guys at the board. And I said, I can't even, I have to go to the risk committee. And we were going through, literally client by client and country by country and loan by loan and helping people.
We went and watched that. You actually had us come watch.
You watch the sources get made. But people say, what did you do different? Nothing other than we already had teams. We already had an army. We already had things to go. So the risk committee used to meet once a week for a couple hours, and all of a sudden it was meeting, and it was kind of more formalized, reviewing certain things. And all of a sudden it was meeting 5 times a day, every day for a year. Okay, and I mean every day, and I mean going to 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. because we had Asia, we had to be up for that, and we were on calls all the time with regulators and governments and clients but the machine was working. And then the formality, when you were there, the formality went away. It's like, hey, David, don't come up and make us a presentation about the mortgage problem in Denmark. Bring up whoever you need to describe and tell us what they want to do. And so we were making, battlefield decisions mostly to help clients, because JP Morgan was actually in quite good shape. And then you just learn how people operate under stress and strain. I mean, some people are great, and some are just children.
So, all right, and so you literally helped take the country out of this crisis. What was the single biggest, darkest moment that you had during that period, and how did you said, some people don't really know how to handle crisis. How did you personally handle it?
So the first there was Bear Stearns. So the world was rocky. Subprime was going down. Some hedge funds had problems. Quant funds were having problems. Markets were down. Bear Stearns stock had fallen from, I think it had a market cap of 20 billion to 15 billion to 10 billion, which is a real sign of a problem in a financial company. And then I got the phone call on March 13th, Thursday, 2008. I was actually having dinner with my parents at a Greek restaurant down the street here. And it was maybe 9 o'clock at night. I had to leave the restaurant because I couldn't hear. And Alan Schwartz, the CEO of Bear Stearns, said, Jamie, I need $30 billion tonight. Otherwise, we're going to go bankrupt in Asia in the morning. And I said, Alan, I don't even know how to get $30 billion. But let's have you spoke to the Secretary of Treasury? And he had. I called up literally our senior people. I said, get dressed and go to the office. And we had hundreds of people come in that night, start going through the books of Bear Stearns. And we told Hank Paulson, look, let's just get them to the weekend. That gives us, 48 hours to figure out if we could save Bear Stearns. And so we had this lifeline, which I won't go through, with the Federal Reserve about how we're going to do that. That was our idea, by the way. And now I had 1,000 people, 2,000 coming in, doing what you call due diligence. Every loan, every asset, every real estate, HR policies, litigation, Can we handle it? What are the integration? What's going to cost? How much would we write down? And we did, probably 6 months of work in 2 days, and bought Bear Stearns that night. Signed the thing that night. That kind of thing is the moment where you're breathless. It was the same way I felt when I signed the document. It's like one signature merged Bank One and JPMorgan. So I sit in my office late at night, and I'm signing that piece of paper. And I know I'm taking an extraordinary amount of risk, which we think we can handle. And I'm also subjecting my people to a tremendous amount of work. Because people forget, it's not the deal. The press writes about the deal. It's the next day, 30 or 40,000 people are working on stuff that is brand new to them. People are going to lose their jobs. People are going to have to consolidate stuff. They're worried. They're nervous. It's, you're literally working 7 days a week. But the worst moment was, so Bear Stearns was bought, and we thought that might be saving the system. But 6 months later, Lehman didn't make it. Lehman didn't get bought. Lehman disintegrated. And that caused disruption around the world of payments and systems and money, and things shouldn't happen that way, which they did fix, by the way. But even after that, AIG, the largest insurance company, Citi, Bank of America, is one after another. But the Fed finally, and we did a lot of stuff, but there was really the Fed at one point putting all these programs in place that by March of '09, the markets were hitting all-time bottoms. But I knew we're getting near the end because the programs were going to work. And it was going to release stress in the system. Markets would stop going down. People could take a deep breath, clean up the crap from the past, but go on. And so, but that was a lot of stress. And I think I just do it the same way, which I try to, this is what I find with stress, okay? The only thing that really satisfies me when I have stress from work is to work. Like going to work, I could get depressed and really stressed out on a Saturday, but if I come to the office on a Saturday or Sunday and I start working on the problems, it immediately goes away from me because I'm doing something and stuff like that. And so, but away from that, it's just to get your sleep, get your exercise, do something that takes your mind off it for a while with some, stupid TV show or something like that. When you have little successes, even in the middle of a crisis, get the people together for a little cocktail party and thank them.
Yeah.
Little things like that to just relieve it.